Hey everyone, I hope y'all are having a great day, and today I'll be reviewing The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Ahdieh. I'm not completely sure that's the way you pronounce that last name, but just bear with me. Alright, so AP testing was over, and I was so ready to just dive into a fun book, and I had so many choices. If you don't remember, or if you haven't seen the video, I mentioned this book, The Wrath and the Dawn, in my most anticipated releases of 2015 video. So I was already excited for this book. I was already looking forward to reading it. But yeah, there were so many books to choose from. I still haven't even read A Court of Thorns and Roses, and I still need to read Blue Lily Lily Blue. But then I saw Jillian from Bookish and Nerdy just fangirl all over the place on Twitter while she was reading this book, and I was like, okay, that's it for me. I'm convinced. This is the next read. I gotta dive into this one. By the way, I'll leave Jillian's link down below. Definitely check her out and subscribe. She's awesome. So as I mentioned, this was one of my most anticipated releases of this year, and it did not disappoint, thank God. It was great. It was everything I wanted it to be, honestly. For those who don't know, The Wrath and the Dawn is a reimagined tale of 1001 Nights. There's a caliph who takes in a new bride every night just to have them executed at dawn without explanation, and when the caliph kills the main character's best friend, she decides to volunteer to be his bride, but she has a plan to murder him. But once she gets to the palace, she sees that everything is not what it seems when you can get what you wanted by the simplest of means. If that doesn't sound intriguing as heck to you, I don't know what to tell you. There is a lot to love about The Wrath and the Dawn. I love the characters, I love the setting, I love the incorporation of Islamic and Arabian culture, and I loved the tension between our main character, Shahrazad, the volunteer, and Khalid, the caliph. Hopefully I'll remember to put the names on the bottom so that you guys can read them, because I really don't know how to pronounce them. There's a lot of culturally unfamiliar terms in this book, but thank God there's a glossary in the back, so that was really, really useful while reading. This book is so readable. The stories and the characters are just so compelling, it makes you want to keep reading. I think the plot was a little bit slow, and there's a lack of consistency in the appearance of magic. There is a magical element to this book, but it pops in here and there. It's not a consistent element of the book. I think Shahrazad, our main character, let her guard down too easily, too quickly. But other than those minor gripes, I thought this book was really, really great. While reading, I realized that the reasons why I love The Wrath and the Dawn so much are very similar to the reasons why I love The Winter's Curse so much. The Winter's Curse by Marie Rutkoski, in case you don't know, one of my favorite books ever. It's the way they write their characters. They're so interesting, and they're talented at manipulating their characters in a way that maximizes melodrama. Well, melodrama and romantic tension, both of which I shamelessly love. I think both authors are experts at creating dialogue between their characters. Some of Khalid's lines they had me swooning. The Wrath and the Dawn is basically my favorite elements from The Winter's Curse put into a completely brand new scenario with new characters. It was wonderful, very dramatic, and very romantic. I was torn between rating this book 4 or 5 stars. I thought it was better than what I would normally rate a 4-star book, but it wasn't quite 5-star level for me. I initially rated it 5 stars, but then I lowered it down to 4, because while I really enjoyed this book, I don't obsessively love it like I do with my other 5-star book. I just want to warn younger readers that there are definitely mature themes in this book. Nothing is ever graphically described, but the ideas are very much implied. So those are my non-spoilery thoughts. Now I'm going to go into the spoilers. So if you haven't read The Wrath and the Dawn, I really encourage you to. It's great. I very much recommend it. Okay, bye. Okay, let's talk spoilers. I love Shahrazad. I really do, but I think we can all agree that her willpower really sucks. She has this idea of murdering Khalid when she comes to the palace, and she has some really great opportunities to do it, but she always chickens out. Of course, as readers, that's what we want, especially since we know from the beginning that there's this curse/prophecy thing that's what's forcing Khalid to kill brides every morning. But if we only knew what Shazi knew, if all we knew about this guy was that he was this cold, murderous pansy cake who murdered all these innocent young girls, including her best friend, I would be rooting for her to murder him ASAP. But within a day or two, she's already too attached to do him any harm. That being said, the romance between Shazi and Khalid was one of my favorite parts of the book. I loved the tension between them. I inexplicably love hate-turned-love romances. It's one of my favorite tropes. I like that when Khalid was possessive of Shazi, Shazi's response was, no, I'm not a possession. You don't own me. The two of them are just so intense together. Sparks just fly off the page. And my favorite line of dialogue is probably when Khalid calls Shazi a plague and then asks her to destroy him. Admittedly, some storylines weren't as interesting as Shazi's and Khalid's. I really didn't care for Shazi's dad and whatever he was doing with that magical book. I feel like he's going crazy, and I know I should be worried about what he's going to do in the future, but in this book, I just wanted to get back to the palace. Whenever the focus of the narrative shifted to him, I was bored. Tariq's storyline was also boring to me. Their characters just don't captivate me like Shazi and Khalid do. I liked the friendship between Shazi and Despina. I think it added a much needed source of lightheartedness and fun and female friendship. I also really liked Jalal a lot. He was so much fun. It took a ridiculously long amount of time for Khalid to finally tell Shazi his secret. Like, logically, the second you tell your guards that an attempt on your wife's life is also an attempt on yours should indicate to you that, wow, I value this girl's life more than I value my own, or about as equally as I value my own. That must mean that I probably love this person enough to tell them my secrets. I'm still confused as to why Khalid can't sleep. Is it because the burden of the curse is too much for him? Like, he can't close his eyes without thinking about all the women that he's murdered, or the woman that he still has to murder? Or is it because he feels terrible that his last words to Ava were lies? Something else entirely? I don't know. Please explain to me. There are little hints here and there of magic. Shazi's father makes that rose bloom in the beginning and then it wilts. There's that man who cures Khalid's headaches. Shazi has a flying carpet, and Shazi's father is working with that weird book. I wish it would have been more consistent in the entire novel, but I'm curious as to see how it's going to play in the future books. Can magic overturn the curse that started this mess? The old tutor who came to visit Shazi told her that she had power dormant in her blood, so maybe she has the power to fix this whole mess. Maybe she can save things. And of course, the book ends with Shazi and Khalid's separation. Of course it does. At this point, when books end with the couple's separation, it's like, it's not even a cliffhanger anymore. It's just a little bit irritating. I'm looking at you, the winner's crime. I'm scared of what's going to happen now to Shazi because she's with Tariq, and Tariq was told to keep her away forever. I don't like Tariq, like, at all. I think he's really irritating. And that feeling was really cemented when he killed Vikram, the Rajput. Oh, how dare you. I liked Vikram a lot, and I hate that he died. Also, Tariq kind of reminds me of Jacob from the Twilight Saga, how he's very hung up on Shazi, aka Bella, and is convinced that she's in love with a monster, aka Edward. I'm not really into the idea of a love triangle in this book series. I'm not really into the idea of a full, like, blown out love triangle between these characters in this book series, so hopefully that doesn't happen. I don't want it to go to that territory. Also, who would even root for Tariq, like, ever? He sucks. So let me know your thoughts on The Wrath and the Dawn. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? I would love to know. I would also love to know whether you guys have any theories about the next book in the series. It's gonna be called The Rose and the Dagger. I hear this is just going to be a duology, which is exciting. That means everything should be wrapped up by the next book. Oh god, I'm excited. I hope it's fantastic. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day, and happy reading. Goodbye!